Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the analysis of YOLENO TV. I hope you well from wherever you're watching this channel. I'd like us to quickly visit this interview where Fred Matiang'i was put to task to explain some issues that have been bothering most Kenyans now that Fred Matiang'i is a presidential hopeful.
Me that question because this is the first time ever I'm having a public opportunity to answer that question directly, because I've been seeing every time people say I'm going to go into public life, people start playing a song with two stanzas, Riella, Warakaland, and so on, and you see it repeated over and over again.
Now you remember that a couple of days ago Fred Matiang'i had requested that an inquiry be set up so that he can clear his name regarding Riella. He wanted to clear his name regarding Msando's death. I went through the interview. I was very concerned about the part of Msando, concerned about the part of Riella. There are a couple of responses which Fred Matiang'i gave, and I will take you through that interview. You'll get to understand something there that Fred Matiang'i mentioned. But one thing that I know Fred Matiang'i could not react to well is this issue of Chris Msando. Now we all know that Chris Msando died shortly before the election, 2017 election. You also remember that story, and it was a bit, it was a shocking moment for the nations. So these are some of the things which have been lingering in Fred Matiang'i's mind. Because if you look at the time this issue of Chris Msando surfaced, it was somewhere there between June and August 2017. That is the time it was, reported. Now, if you also look at the time Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta appointed Matiang'i, then you find that Matiang'i's appointment also falls around that time, because he assumed office on August 8th, July 2017 on an acting capacity after the death of Joseph Ole Kaiseri. You see, Kaiseri, who was formerly in ODM, was picked to serve as a interior and coordination of national government, that interior docket cabinet. He was picked to be a cabinet secretary for the interior and coordination of national government. So that is a role that Kaiseri was given, but then he shortly passed on. So let's look at this interview where Fred Matiang'i was put to task to explain a couple of issues which Kenyans want addressed. So first and foremost, before we go through that video of the interview regarding Msando's death, kindly take this opportunity, like this video, subscribe to our channel if you had not subscribed before, and to our existing subscribers, thank you so much for your support. Now, Fred Matiang'i wished he had not asked that question, because I was looking at Fred Matiang'i's response, by the way.
Cannot be planning, or people planning to have goods in protest and they do not know. Yet the reports came in January 2022. You left office in, was it October or September 2022, after the new cabinet came in? And at that time, nobody knew what was going on, that bodies were being dumped in Riella?
Sam, let me tell you, my friend, there are investigations that take 7 years or 8 years to complete.
No, I'm saying beforehand, as they were happening, nobody knew that something was happening at Riella.
Well, the CID have collected reports from police officers in the region. Actually, the senior police officers who wrote statements about that particular incident, about what they knew at that point. The reason why action was not concluded, in my view, and we spoke to Kinoti about that matter, is because work was going on to piece together all those bits and pieces of it, so that they would find a conclusive position on what was going to be done. And that's why the file was not closed. The question is not our knowledge or who knew what was going on at that particular time. Then the officers involved, all of them have been asked to write statements, and I believe they have information on what was going on. That's why I'm asking the question, why can't action be taken?
Okay. Now, Chris Msando was the ICT director at IBC in the lead up to 2017 election. He was killed and his body found late July. What do you know about that?
The incident was reported, and I know it the way you know it. that an official of IBC was killed. And the investigations were going on. We've asked questions several times about the matter. And every time the issue comes up, I keep saying, why don't we have a public inquest on this matter? I don't think that file was closed. The file is available, or it must be somewhere in the DCI. Why can't information be put? If anybody has information of any kind implicating anybody, what stops them from putting the information out? What stops them from taking the information to the law enforcement agencies?
Did you pursue that? Because at that time you were acting Minister Security. From September that year, you became Substantive Cabinet Secretary for Security.
The DCI kept saying, by the way, there are so many of those murders. There is Msando, there is Jacob Juma, later on the one of 2022 of Kenei, and so on. There are those murders. When DCI tells you the file is open, they are looking for information, even the president, even if you are president yourself, there's nothing you can do. Because you see, every time you ask, it's like a bring-up system. Every time you ask the DCI, where are you with this matter? They tell you, we're investigating the matter, we are looking for some people, we have these leads, we are doing this, and so on and so forth. There's nothing you can do. You are not the investigating officer, you are the minister. So the question is, you go by what the Inspector General of Police tells you, with what the DCI tells you. And all these files, we've kept asking questions about them. Where are we with this investigation? We are looking for more information on this matter. We have these leads in this particular direction and so on. What would you do? And by the way, you can't jump the gun and go to the press and say, I'm addressing the press today and say, in any case, what would you be telling the country anyway? Does that then mean, even the current government, there's nothing much they can do about these matters? That's why I asked for a public inquest. That's what I'm saying.
It was a bit interesting because it's like he was struggling to, address the issue. And somewhere along the way, I must admit that if Murkomen was watching this interview, Murkomen lazima alikuwa anacheka tu, mahali amekaa anacheka tu, anafurahi tu how Matiang'i alikuwa anajibu ile maswali, anafurahi tu, because honestly speaking, Matiang'i mentioned something there ambayo kama Kenya itafocus nao sana, ama ikiwa Kenya kwanza itafocus na hiyo matamshi ya Matiang'i, then watasema kwamba wanalaumiwa tu bure, because Matiang'i short of said that the murders and the like, those are issues which are supposed to be of DCI, and also the government is not, the executive is not supposed to be blamed. If you are very keen listening to Matiang'i, me, that's what I see. Matiang'i ni kama alijaribu kuvindicate hii serikali bila kujua. Hii serikali ni kama ilijikuta kwamba inasafishwa na yale matamshi ya Matiang'i bila Matiang'i kujua kwamba alikuwa because Sam Gituku alikuwa very keenly listening to Matiang'i's responses, na akamuuliza swali rahisi. So does it mean that this government kina Murkomen hawafai kulaumiwa? Basi that is the case. Personally, I wished Matiang'i had not agreed to be interviewed, because personally naona kama kuna pale amejipunguzia kura kidogo. Of course there are people who still believe in him. Yeah, there are people who want him to unseat the current president. But yale matamshi kuna kidogo ameteleza kidogo. Tukubaliane kama ameteleza. I've seen what Maverick Aoko said. I've seen so many people reacting. Someone was saying that hata nacheka tu nikimwangalia Matiang'i. There was something. This is why I think the response from from Maverick Aoko ilikuwa ni kwamba anacheka tu akisikiza Matiang'i akisema nini. You see, Maverick Aoko is one of those people who support Matiang'i. Let's be honest. She has made it publicly that Matiang'i is a presidential candidate ambaye yeye angependa support. We have seen Pauline Njoroge. Pauline Njoroge aligns with the faction of Rigathi and Matiang'i. So what is happening, ladies and gentlemen, is that Fred Okengo Matiang'i goofed. Let us be honest. I know people will react negatively below in the comment section because I've said that, but that is the reality. If you are very keen following the interview, kuna mala likosea pale. So perhaps if you're watching this video and you've not subscribed, take 1 second and subscribe, like this video. Till you catch up again, stay safe and stay blessed.